Welcome to the Children's Author Show, and today we're counting down the top 17 greatest children's books of all time. That's right, these books have captured the hearts of generations, and today we're ranking them based on sales, historical significance, and cultural influence. Let's do it. Number 17, Winnie-the-Pooh, written by A.A. Milne in 1926. To date, there's over 50 million copies of this book that has been sold. Little fun fact about Winnie-the-Pooh, the beloved bear was actually inspired by a real-life Canadian bear named Winnie, whom Milne's son, Christopher Robin, adored at the London Zoo. Number 16, A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine L'Engle, written in 1962. To date, over 10 million copies sold. A little fun fact about the book, this sci-fi classic was actually rejected by 26 publishers before finding its home. And it featured Meg Murray, one of the original breakout heroines. Number 15, Charlotte's Web by E.B. White, written in 1952. To date, over 50 million copies sold. Fun fact about Charlotte's Web, E.B. White actually based the character of Charlotte on a real spider he observed spinning webs in his barn. Number 14, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, written by Roald Dahl in 1964. To date, over 20 million copies have been sold of this iconic book. A little fun fact, the book was inspired by Roald Dahl's childhood experiences of chocolate companies sending kids samples to test. This book also created the famous cultural idea of winning the golden ticket. Number 13, Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein, written in 1974. To date, over 20 million copies have been sold. Silverstein not only wrote, but also illustrated this whimsical collection of poems. Number 12, The Hungry Caterpillar, written by Eric Carle in 1969. To date, over 55 million copies have been sold. Eric Carle originally designed the book about a bookworm named Willie before changing it to being a caterpillar. Number 11, The Goosebumps series, written by R.L. Stine, starting in 1992. To date, the series has actually sold over 400 million copies. R.L. Stine wrote Welcome to Dead House, the first Goosebumps book, in just 3 short weeks, launching this incredible series. Number 10, Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak, written in 1963. To date, over 20 million copies have been sold. A little fun fact, the Wild Things were inspired by Sendak's own relatives, who he found both loving and a little terrifying. Number 9, The Chronicles of Narnia series, written by C.S. Lewis between 1950 and 1956. To date, the series has sold over 120 million copies. Little interesting fact, the character Aslan, the noble lion, was actually inspired by C.S. Lewis's deep Christian faith. Number 8, The Giving Tree, written by Shel Silverstein in 1964. To date, over 10 million copies have been sold. A little fun, interesting fact, this book's ambiguous ending has sparked debate about selflessness and sacrifice for many, many decades, causing it to be in our top 10 list. Number 7, what I call the Dr. Seuss Trio, written between 1957 and 1990. Inside of this trio, The Cat in the Hat, Green Eggs and Ham, and written in 1990, Oh, the Places You'll Go. If you also include all the other Dr. Seuss books, the combined series by Dr. Seuss has sold over 650 million copies. Little fun fact about Green Eggs and Ham, it was actually written only using 50 words after a bet with Dr. Seuss's publisher. Number 6, The Berenstain Bears. The whole series, beginning in 1962, written by Stan and Jan Berenstain. Over 300 million copies of these books have been sold in the series. And a little fun fact that you're probably questioning right now yourself is about the series name. Many readers are confused by how to pronounce the word, because it's actually spelled Berenstain and not Berenstein. And many call it either the Berenstain Bears or the Berenstain Bears. And there's a fun debate that's happened now for many, many decades, and will probably continue for decades to come. Number 5, The Diary of a Wimpy Kid series by Jeff Kinney, starting in 2007. To date, the series has sold over 275 million copies. And a fun fact is that the first Wimpy Kid book was initially published as a webcomic before becoming an international bestseller. Number 4, The Little Prince, written by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry in 1943. To date, over 200 million copies have been sold. Fun facts, Antoine was actually a pilot, and much of the book was inspired by his real-life experiences in the Sahara Desert. Number 3, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, written by Lewis Carroll in 1865. To date, over 100 million copies of the book has been sold. And a fun and interesting fact is that the book was originally told as a story to entertain a young girl named Alice Liddell on a boat ride. Number 2, The Harry Potter series, written by J.K. Rowling between 1997 and 2007. To date, the series has sold over 600 million copies. And as of March of 2025, the Harry Potter film series has grossed over $9.5 billion worldwide. Fun fact about it, J.K. Rowling was actually famously rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, or Sorcerer's Stone as it's referred to in the United States, was finally accepted by a publisher. And number 1, The Tale of Peter Rabbit, written by Beatrix Potter in 1902. To date, the book has sold over 250 million copies. And since this is our winner for the greatest book of all time, here are some fun facts behind that decision. First of all, Beatrix Potter initially self-published The Tale of Peter Rabbit in 1901 after multiple publishers rejected it. She printed only 250 copies, but due to its popularity, Frederick Warne and Company later picked it up and officially published it in 1902, and it quickly became a bestseller. Beatrix Potter was also one of the first authors to capitalize on merchandising. She designed and patented a Peter Rabbit doll in 1903, followed by other products like board games and tea sets. This made Peter Rabbit one of the earliest examples of book-based branding. And finally, The Tale of Peter Rabbit went from selling just 250 copies to now having sold over 250 million copies, making it one of the most successful children's books sold in history. It has been translated into over 35 languages, ensuring its legacy across many cultures will last for many generations to come. And that's it for our list of the top 17 greatest children's books of all time. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you feel we left a better book off of this list? What would be your list? Well, let me know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more amazing content about children's literature, as well as some great resources for you as a children's author. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep reading, and keep writing.